Hello and welcome to another edition of Pop and Scott Talk Baseball. Uh, another week down. Anything new in the news for us, Dad?
No, not really. We're having an air conditioning problem, waiting for a phone call, but that's beside the point. But not really. Um, in baseball, a lot of stuff happened.
Okay.
One thing, Josh Harrison, who spent 13 years in the majors, played in the 2017 baseball classic. He's retiring. He played 13 years, most of them with the Pirates, and he's retiring. Um, the other thing that was yesterday was nuts. As far this is Sunday, we're taping on Sunday, but Saturday was crazy. Skubal and Waka were pitching against each other. Detroit and Kansas City. Kansas City won 1-0. Pasquatch got the RBI that won the game, but both Skubal and Waka were out of the game by then. When they left, both of them were pitching shutouts, and I don't think Waka gave up a hit until the seventh inning. But I mean, it was that. Then you had four teams that scored double figures.
Right.
The Nationals, Milwaukee, the Dodgers, and Tampa Bay.
Well, that's what I wanted to touch on. It's like we still have some great pitching in this league, but man, it's a huge fall off really quick. Uh, and also, not all the bullpens are all that great. It's
No,
pitching is premium. It still is. We talk about it for 2 years now. So
and pitching's at a premium, and the bullpen. If you don't have a decent bullpen, you're in trouble.
right.
Uh,
I mean, and we could
that's
talk.
hurting a lot. That's hurting the Angels, really.
We're talking about 300 batting averages when we should be probably looking more at on base percentage and all that stuff. I mean, a lot of runs are being scored with 200, 270 batting averages. So I think what the difference is, instead of having one or two guys on your team that bat 325, you got seven guys on your team batting 265 instead of before where you had everybody was batting 240 and you had these top elite players that were batting 285, 325.
And everybody's still swinging for the fences, even when there's two strikes on them.
Yeah, yeah,
So, um, but Jock Peterson of Texas broke his hand. He's on the IL. Um, Ryan Mountcastle went on the IL yesterday too, for the first baseman for the Orioles.
right.
Um, the Cubs lost Miguel Amaya. He has an oblique. He's out. San Diego lost Michael King. He's out with a shoulder. MLB is making an investment in the Athletes Unlimited Softball League this year. Like the WNBA is subsidized by the NBA, they are going to subsidize the professional women's softball league.
Yeah, and what they're doing is, I think it's 6 teams. They're playing 22 games, I think, and they're going to take the whole league and they're going to travel to cities. The teams are not city. They're got yes. So what they're going to do is just move around from city to city, and then next year they might add a couple teams and designate these teams to different cities. So that's the plan. I've been reading up on it because it's been all over my social media posts. So I had no choice but to read up on it. And again, the softball being played in college right now, I knew it was just a matter of time before this was going to happen.
Yeah, and they're selling out every venue. And Texas looks like they're going to win the national championship. I saw about 5 or 6 teams in the last 3 days, and they look like the best. They beat Florida and Oklahoma. And if you can beat Florida and Oklahoma, you're probably the best team. But Texas Tech looks good too. And we were talking about scoring. I watched Wake Forest and Miami of Ohio yesterday on ESPN for a while, and the final score was 14-13, Wake Forest. And I mean, those kids were hitting the ball all over the place, and there was some bad defense also.
Right.
But there's a lot of scoring. Anyway, the Los Angeles Dodgers they got the 2020 closer from the Reds, Alexis Diaz, and they gave up Mike Villani, which is one of their prospects, to the Reds. Arizona, their starting pitcher, Eduardo Rodriguez, he's on the IL with a shoulder. Cedric Mullins went on the IL last night with a hamstring for the Orioles.
That's about time. He goes out every year with hamstring or
and
something.
And for Cincinnati, Austin Hayes has gone on the IL for the third time with the same foot problem. So I don't know, maybe his days are numbered. Now, the other night, the Dodgers and the Yankees are playing in the LA. Friday night, Ohtani and Judge, the two guys that won the Cy Young, the most valuable player last year, they both hit home runs in the first inning, which is the first time that's ever happened.
Right.
Let's face it, in the old days, they only had one MVP in both leagues. Then when they started putting in both leagues, the only way they were going to be able to do that in the first inning was be in the World Series because they didn't have interleague play.
Right.
Until the last few years. And the Dodgers moved Glasnow to the 60-day IL. But Cal Riley, who's the best catcher in baseball at Seattle, he had 21 home runs in May, which is the most by any catcher ever. When you're talking about Johnny Bench, Pudge Rodriguez, Gabby Hartnett, Yogi Berra,
Mike Piazza.
Yeah, Mike Piazza. There's a lot of great catchers, and this guy's the only one that's done it. The Nationals last night scored 9 runs against Arizona in the first inning before Arizona got an out. They hung on to win the game 11-7, but they scored 9 runs, and the last time that was done was on August 13th, 1948 by the Philadelphia Phillies. I was 2 years old when the last time that happened, and now I'm 79, so that's how long ago that was. And Jordan Walker of the St. Louis Cardinals has gone on the IL with a bad wrist.
Now that's a guy me and my friends were talking. Jordan Walker was one of those supposed to be greats that really you haven't heard nothing about.
Well, all he does is strike out, but this year they worked on his swing in that, and over the winter, and he was hitting a lot better. I mean, he's still not great, but he was hitting a lot better. And in the standings, in the American League, the Yankees have a 5.5 game lead over both Tampa and Toronto. Toronto's starting to play pretty good ball lately. Detroit has a 6-game lead over Minneapolis and Cleveland. Seattle has a half-game lead over the Houston Astros. The team in that division that we thought might do something, the A's, they're playing like the A's have always played. And
I didn't think they're going to win any. I thought they were going to last.
But the Angels, the Angels can hit and score runs, but their pitching is horrible.
Right.
They should have won last night, but their pitching couldn't hold up. In the National League, the Mets and the Phillies are tied. And the Phillies got smoked the last couple of days.
Well, the Mets, it's good to have the White Sox in Colorado back to back to get yourself right.
I was going to bring that up. I was going to bring that up because I saw where the Baltimore announcers were bragging about the last 6 games that the Orioles have been the starting pitchers had a 360 earned run average. Well, some of them were against the White Sox.
Right. They're playing Pittsburgh too because they keep clearing pitches. Yeah.
Give me a break.
And that god awful all orange uniform.
That's the Cubs. They have a 3-game lead over the St. Louis Cardinals, and the Pirates and Cincinnati and Milwaukee. They're kind of treading water, but Milwaukee's just pounded the Phillies the last 2 days.
Yeah, I'm telling you, do not count out Milwaukee.
Yeah, that's every year they do
Yeah,
stuff.
they just
They're
organization is just a good
Milwaukee and Tampa Bay. People
Yeah,
say, well, this year they're not going to do anything, including me,
right,
and they always do something.
right.
All right. Let's see. Where was it? Oh, yeah. The LA Dodgers have a 3-game lead over San Diego. Now, they beat the Yankees 2 games straight, and last night they beat them 18-2. The two runs were Judge hit 2 home runs. Uh, they beat them 18-2. So that means that the Yankees will win the game tonight on ESPN. Because usually when that happens, the team that got beat like that comes back and wins the next game. I remember
Yeah, but I've been saying when they face the Mets have good pitching, start pitching. The Dodgers, even with their injuries, they still have some good starting pitching. It just seems like they're having the same issues that they always have in the playoffs of scoring runs against good pitching. And it just seems like it's the same thing
yeah. Well,
with the Yankees.
yeah, and we talked about that before. And there again, the Yankees were getting fat off of some bad teams too.
Right.
But I remember when I was a little kid, my mother said this. I think we were listening to a game on radio on a Saturday afternoon before we had television. I was in about the first grade or maybe even before school, but I can remember it. My mom, I think we were listening to the Cubs game, and the Cubs were winning about 12-2, and she said they should have saved some of these runs for tomorrow.
Right. Right.
But so sometimes now, don't be surprised if the Yankees win the game tonight but who knows? But the Dodgers and the Yankees, they were building this up as the remake of the World Series and all that stuff, but neither game has been very competitive. And to be honest, I've watched a lot of girls the NCAA softball and some of the men's baseball games because
the regionals this week.
Well, I mean, it's there in the regionals, and I just like watching the kids. I love watching the kids play, and I tell you, when this league gets started with the 6 teams in it, they're going to have plenty of girls to choose from.
Well, they've already got the teams.
Oh, they already have?
Yeah, they already they showed them. So the complex they're all practicing at, they already showed their uniforms and their gear.
So then
they'll pick up some of the college women as well.
Because I was wondering, these girls, when they finish the World Series and they've graduated from school, the seniors, well, even the juniors can play on that league. I mean, I just wondered if not, then they can go play. There's other semi-pro leagues that they can play in.
Well, yeah, and they got that other league. I forget what it's called.
It's in Florida.
Yeah, and they change up teams and all this stuff.
Yeah, I tried to watch.
Know if they're still having
didn't like the concept. I didn't watch it.
But just make a real league, and I think they're going to use because there was some of the women were getting golden tickets presented to them, and I guess it was because they're going to be in the draft for this league because the first game, from way I'm understanding, is literally the day after the championship game of the women's softballs. It's the first game of the league. So that when I saw it on it, it's like June 7th, something like that.
That sounds
next week or two. So
that'll be next Sunday.
Yeah, and they're all practicing at a safe facility
or next Saturday.
Yeah, they set up this huge tent and separated locker room. Because they just don't have a lot of money to put in. And the woman that's the commissioner of the league is the woman that was the GM for a little while for the Florida Marlins.
Yes, the Asian lady.
Yes. And she is running the league with Manfred's help. So, I'm excited. Any sports, and I mean, women's sports, and they're going to have to do something. I think for one, they need to move the bases back a little bit, and they need to move the fences back a little bit. And I think they need to flirt Well, I don't know. When they stopped the jump pitch in softball, the bats started picking up. But man, there's those women are just hitting the ball way. It ain't even close to a
In,
lot of runs.
in this World Series, there is some scoring, but mainly the pitching's dominate. The Texas has pitched the same girl in 2 games, and she's dominated.
Right.
The girl from Tennessee, they lost, but she dominated their early innings.
I
The
think
Texas Tech girl is very good. She was
speaking
the year.
pitching, I think Finch is coaching one of the teams, like one of the greatest softball pitchers ever. The blonde that won the USA. And where does she pitch at? Was it UCLA? I can't remember.
Probably because
But,
UCLA 30 years ago, UCLA was winning the championship every other year.
Well, I thought a lot of more schools had softball teams, but when I was watching the tournaments last year and this year, a lot of teams, including Virginia, their teams are rather new, and Virginia did well this year. So, you know,
Yeah, Virginia's only had a team for 2 or 3 years.
right. Duke's the same way. So yeah, that's
Clemson's the same way. They just keep playing.
yeah, and that was very interesting to me. Just assuming, because where we lived, every high school had a softball team.
Right. Every high school had baseball and softball.
Right. Yeah. So I kind of assumed, every
University did.
yeah, I thought it was
Virginia Tech's always had a very good softball team.
right.
But Virginia didn't have one at all until the last few years. And neither did Clemson.
Where the college right next to us, Virginia State, which is a HBCU, they got a beautiful complex for softball, and they always, for as long as I can remember, they always played. It's right by the street there. You can see it from the street. So I just assumed everybody had a women's softball team.
Yeah.
So, they don't assume.
Yeah, you can't. I'm kind of proud of I'm a Nationals fan and an Orioles fan, but I'm kind of proud of the Nationals. They're only 2 games under 500. They're in 3rd place.
Well, that was one of the teams that I said, if they could add a couple of pieces, because they built the team for the middle out on the field, which that's what you're supposed to do. Strong catcher, strong shortstop, strong second, strong center field. And they got pluses in the other parts of the outfield. Plus, they added some, veterans to the mix, as well as they got some younger pitching. If Gore keeps getting the pitch called a foot off the plate, a strike, he's going to be awesome. He's going to be unhittable. I saw some of the strikes called for him the other night. I believe that team has a great future. I don't know if Abrams is going to be there forever shortstop, but
well, if they have the first they have the first draft pick,
you're picking Holiday,
and if they pick Holiday, he's going to play short. In a couple of years, he'll be a shortstop.
Well, he'll probably be a second. I would like his brother, but
maybe. But he might be a
third. Yeah.
Because they're short. Their second baseman's in his early 30s, but he's still a good ball player.
Garcia, he's strong.
Excellent hitter.
Yes, and he's good up the middle. That they need some more pitching. They need bullpen help. They need things that a team that has a organized upper management knows, and they don't have that right now. They're still kind of, are we selling, not selling type of deal. And anytime you have that, it's kind of a limbo. So
they called a couple of kids up in the outfield, and both of them are playing very well.
Right. Yeah. Well, I saw that Mayo kid for Baltimore they called up. My God, that's a big guy.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. I was like, I didn't realize he was that big until he tried to run into the guy in the baseline, and it brought out the benches, and the dude wanted to get in his face. Just like one-handed. He
yeah, showed him out of the way.
I was like, that's a big dude.
No, yeah. The other thing is Atlanta lost that. Their rookie catcher is one of the favorites for most valuable. I mean, the rookie of the year. Well, the pitcher they have, AJ Smith Shalmer. He was one of the favorites. Well, he's out now with Tommy John.
Oh, I didn't know that's
Well,
it.
they don't know whether it's going to be Tommy John or put that.
So speaking of Atlanta, did Strider mean to hit Harper? Man, it looked.
I didn't see the game.
You need to watch that replay because if he didn't, and he's a professional pitcher, whew, I know these guys are close to the plate, but
is that why Harper's out because he hit him in the elbow?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I didn't see it.
It's not supposed to be bad, but next day is always worse with something like that, and he doesn't wear a guard, and he spun to get out the way, and it still hit him like on the back part of the elbow. So it was towards his back, not to to the front. So he didn't spin in. He kind of was spinning back to get out the way. Strider said he wasn't, but I don't know why he would. I don't know. But these teams, I mean, they're divisional rivals. All these divisional rivals.
Well, not only that, but some of
We
these
don't know what's said on the field.
the pitchers from time immemorial have always pitched inside when these guys crowd the plate.
Yeah.
You crowd the plate on Randy Johnson, Steve Carlton, Sandy Koufax, Bob Gibson. You crowd the plate on Don Drysdale. The ball's going to come up under your chin.
Palmer was that way. I mean, any good pitcher, Maddox would buzz you. Right, Maddox. If you got on the plate with
what Maddox would do is Maddox would throw the ball over the outside corner and outside the outside corner, get all the strikes. And when you crowded the plate, he'd throw it inside and you'd hit a little weak ground ball and you'd strike out.
Right. I mean, I know Schmaltz would. Schmaltz wasn't afraid of anything. So, but I mean, that's why they're great. I don't know. I'm not in his head. I just saw the replay. It came across my phone as soon as it happened.
Well, if Atlanta was
losing,
losing,
my friends that I knew was watching the game. So
if Atlanta was losing at the time, there might be a possibility they did. Right. He did it on.
And, Strider has had some issues this last year. He might be just frustrated. I don't know.
He might have slipped.
And he could have. I mean, I don't know him. I can't watch Atlanta games. So
let's look at it this way. These guys are throwing 98 miles an hour. A half an inch, a quarter of an inch, one way or the other means a lot.
Yes. Yeah. I just didn't know if you saw that or not. Your thoughts on that. So.
I do know that I was watching MLB the other day, and they were talking in depth about what I've been saying for 2 years, that the bullpens are so important, especially in the postseason, because it's almost impossible for a pitcher to pitch a complete game. I mean, Scoville yesterday and Waka, they went into the 7th or 8th inning, but I mean that's as far as they got. They both.
Yeah, he's got you. If they pitch, and also a lot of times you don't want your pitcher to pitch a complete game. These guys that scream, these guys are wusses and all this stuff. When they put 9 innings of strain on their arms, throwing that and trying to get that much spin velocity on every pitch now, it's such. I'd rather have that guy for 5 more years than for 1 more inning.
I'll give you two. There's 2 examples. If people want to look back through the archives, history book, Google it, whatever. When Billy Martin was managing the Oakland A's, and he had 3 or 4 great starters, he almost demanded a complete game. He didn't care if they threw 135, 140 pitches.
Right.
So he wound up ruining 3 pitchers. The Chicago Cubs had a kid named Wood as a pitcher.
Cal Wood.
Yeah, you were a kid, I believe, then. Or,
yeah, they had a great pitching staff.
And and the same thing happened. I think they had Wood and a kid named Pryor.
Yep.
And those guys, whoever the manager was, they pitched their arms out. And then they pitched like that for 2 years, and then all of a sudden Wood was pretty much done, and then Pryor started having problems. because they pitched like the old days, and it didn't work.
I,
There's so much stress put on the arms now because.
well, I'll give you another one. Johan Santana was stayed in the game to get a no hitter for the Mets.
Exactly, and it
And,
ruined his career.
and the manager, Bobby Valentine. Was it Bobby Valentine? No, it was what's his face that used to boss the Red Sox and the Orioles. He said that was the worst decision he ever made was keeping him in that game because he was like that. He was done after that. He never pitched again. Tried to pitch one more game or something.
Yeah, he lasted one. He tried to pitch one game with the Mets, and then he went to Minnesota, and he hung around there for 2 years, and he just couldn't. He couldn't get it done.
Yeah, he was done, and that was that was one of their. That would have been one of their great. Well, he's the only. I think he's one of the only Met no hitters or only Met no hitter. One of my friends will let me know.
Well, if anybody had a no hitter, it was probably Seaver.
But I don't think he did.
I don't think he did either, but.
I don't think he did. I think Johan, because that was the big deal, was like all the great pitchers, that they've had there, and that was the first no hitter, and that's why they wanted it so bad. And Johan, I don't think never had one, so that was a big deal. But that was it. It ruined him. 130 pitches, 135, something like that. So I mean, I just wish people would, and I mean. You look at Sandy Koufax. That was one of the reasons why he had a short career. I mean, you look at a lot of guys that had pitchers that had short careers back then. That was the reason why. I mean, Sandy Koufax threw for 5 years with his arm thrown, whatever they threw at his arm after that, whatever they called it.
He had arthritis.
And then, but he was not the same Sandy Koufax, but he
because
was better than most in the league, but it's still what he would have been better another 10 years if I wish people would just. It tells me the ignorance of not, and ignorance means not lacking the knowledge, not just being stupid. That's so I'm not trying to call anybody stupid, but just not having the knowledge of knowing what strain gets put on these guys' arms and not knowing the full story. Because everybody wants the golden age of baseball and how like these 5 pitchers, but yet everybody had a bullpen. There's a reason why everybody had relief pitchers. So not everybody went complete games. I know there was a lot more than what there are now, but there was a reason why you had a bullpen. There was a reason why you had relief pitchers. So, I just wish people would have the facts before they start spewing. And it's a different, when it comes to pitching now, with that spin rate and not having taken 3-4 months off in the off season like they did then either, that's a lot of training.
Yeah, and because they go out and start working on different things right after the season's over.
Yeah, they take off a couple of weeks, go to the beach or Hawaii with the
spin rate and throw 98 right from the get-go.
If they can get a mile an hour faster on their fastball at an average, that's millions of dollars in
the human body can only do certain things.
Right. Yeah. So
that's why they used to call it pitching, because it wasn't throwing, it was pitching.
Yeah.
It was different between just throwing and pitching.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Seaver said he had to learn how to pitch.
Yeah, I mean, Maddox threw hard, and when he came back after he had surgery, he pitched and was probably one of the best pitchers ever.
Oh, ever, yeah, no question.
Yeah, I mean, he's up there with Carlton and Koufax and some. I have to throw Carlton in there if my Philly friends will spit roast me. So yeah, I just I get a little agitated because I love today's game. I think I've been saying that the 50s golden era because of the time, post World War II, TV, all that, just right time. These people were larger than life. You could see them, Saturday going to the movies and they were on the newsreels. It was just, they were really, made into heroes by by the media in MLB. Now it's not so much that, but these guys just play, and this is a special time in all the sports right now because these kids come out ready to play. I mean, man, I got friends at work, the way they talk about their kids playing and stuff. They're at their age, they're better than what me and my friends were. I can tell you that. So it's amazing. And, I just wish we could give them a little bit more credit where credit's due when it comes to that. Yes, it's some things that you just shake your head and no outs, runner a second in a tie ball game, and they don't bunt. You just shake your head. Why don't they bunt? Any time of baseball, that should be a bunt. But
that's one thing about the girls softball. They do bunt.
They do bunt.
To a certain extent, the college baseball tournament, there's been some bunting there too.
Yeah. Well, there's been more bunting. I told you this in baseball this year. I've seen more guys going opposite way this year. They're playing they're hitting against the shift. So, that's what I knew was going to happen was, you could shift. But then the hitters are going to play a little pepper up there. I've seen more guys choking up on a bat with 2 strikes. I know there's still a lot more guys trying to hit it. But I saw with men in scoring position, my man Pete Alonso choked up on a bat and hit a line drive in the outfield, scored runs. So I think team baseball still lives. It's a team sport.
The play yesterday, this was amazing. This is women's softball. Texas Tech had a girl on third base playing UCLA. There's a left-handed batter in the box. No, a right-handed batter in the box. So the catcher can't see the base runner.
Right.
So the girl for UCLA throws a pitch.
Oh, I saw this today.
And she lobbed it back. She lobbed it back to the mound. And when she lobbed it back to the mound, that runner was coming and slid.
She never stopped her for leadoff. She never checked her back.
Yeah. She never
got up and she kept running and slid right between her legs. It was awesome.
The catcher couldn't see her because the batter was in the way.
Yeah, but you still got to check the runner back.
The batter, the catcher didn't step back or forward to throw the ball back to the mound, which she should have done. She assumed the girl wasn't coming.
Right.
And the other thing was nobody on the UCLA team hollered she's coming.
Well, it wasn't the first pitch, or they probably been watching. Hey,
no, it wasn't the first pitch. It was later on. It was there was 2 strikes on the batter, and the next pitch was a ball, and then she came. And
I only saw the highlight of her stealing home. I was like, she never looked at her, never even glanced, peeked at her. You got to peek around. You got to do something.
Yeah, the catcher's got to do something.
She took her lead and just kept going because she saw the girl throw.
See, here's the thing. That was not. She's caught quite a bit this year, but that was not the regular catcher. I don't know how much that had to do with it, but I mean, you just assume she's not coming.
That's Little League.
You assume she's not coming. You just assume it and just lob the ball back.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just I saw it. I was like, ooh, as a former
UCLA tied the game up with an opposite field home run, and then Texas Tech wound up winning later on. But it was that was a heck of a play. I mean,
right.
You got to pay attention.
Yeah. But we'll have more. Well, next week, hopefully, I think we'll know who the champion is, and we'll know more about the. Softball's played on the diamond, so we'll probably talk a little bit more because first season of this, I like to see it succeed. It's just like the WNBA with 2 weeks without Caitlin. It seems to be doing okay. Ticket sales are down, but the league is still going, so people are still interested in it. And baseball is where it's at for me, and stay with that mostly. But sometimes we'll stray. Anything else for us, Dan?
No, I just had another yogiism, and that'll be it.
Okay.
You remember last week he said if he didn't wake up, he would still be sleeping. Well, this time he said, I usually take a 2 hour nap between 1 and 4. And of course, his reasoning is between 1 and 4, I sleep 2 hours. It might not be the same 2 hours, but I'm going to
Right.
sleep 2 hours.
Right.
You say it that way.
Right.
But see, that's his logic.
Right.
That's his logic. And then when people they laugh, he says, what's funny? Because he thinks he's making sense.
Right.
And that's the other thing about Yogi and Casey Stengel that was so hilarious, because they actually thought they were making sense when they said some of the silly stuff.
Right.
So, but anyway, that I take a 2 hour nap between 1 and 4. Only Yogi.
Well, that is it for us this week. You got to hear a little rant from me because I get tired of the pitching thing.
And I'll have as much information as I can during the week, but I'm teaching at church, Bible school and church for a solid week, 9 to 4 or 5 days. So I don't know how much baseball I'm going to be sleeping in the evenings.
Right. So we'll see you next week. Till then, like, share, tell a friend, subscribe if you have it, and we will see ya.